You are now tuned in to the #1 nursing podcast in the world, the Scrub Me In podcast by Nurse Junior and Anthony.
All right, you are now tuned in to the #1 nursing podcast in the world, the Scrub Me In nursing podcast by Nurse Junior and
Nurse Anthony.
Woo! Episode 17. We getting there, baby.
Let's go.
Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. We got a TikTok channel as well, too, guys. Please, like, comment. Let's get up to, I don't know what number we're at, but let's get up higher. You feel me?
Yeah.
The more you subscribe, the more you like, comment, the more we'll have motivation to want to do a season 3. You feel me? Mm-hmm. So, episode 17, and we got a
very special guest.
Very special.
We're both excited. Very excited.
I've been waiting for this one.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself to the scrubbers out there.
Okay, first off, before we get started, my writer specifically called for red, white, and blue M&Ms in a fishbowl, separate fish bowls. There was supposed to be some Bacardi.
You know what's
supposed to
crazy?
be some Patron.
What's crazy is we got all of that in the house. Like, don't tempt me with a good time right now.
That's hilarious.
I got kids, so the M&Ms are always stocked. All right, I want a raffle, so the Bacardi's on deck.
Yes,
right,
on ice.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, good. We can get into that later. All right. So my name is Shawn Townsend. I'm a nurse and a comedian.
Yeah. Yes.
And you want me to get into like kind of where I work and
Tell us about yourself. Yeah.
So I've been a nurse for 13 years, going on 14.
Wow.
I work at the VA in downtown Detroit. That's the Veterans Hospital. Mm-hmm. I started off in inpatient, so med surg, and then about 6 years in, I transitioned to. I got to watch with that word transition. We don't want to play with that word. We'll just say I switched. Primary care.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You really are a comedian. I love it.
So I have a question with the VA, because I've heard a lot about VA hospitals and everything. It's not just for veterans? Is it just for the general public?
It's okay. So the way that the U.S. system works, if you come into the emergency room, any emergency room, they have to give you emergency care.
Okay.
So, I mean, we do get some people that roll into the emergency room that aren't veterans, and I suppose they patch them up, and kind of send them on their way or get them, as good as they can.
Right, like stable.
They get them stable.
Right.
And move them out. There are different populations at the VA. The majority is veterans, but then there's also spouses of veterans.
Okay.
Can get care there if they meet certain criteria. There's also populations like interpreters from, Iraq and Desert Shield, Desert Storm, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Occasionally we'll get some of them come through, but it's mostly veterans. It's 99.5%
really
veterans. Yeah.
Wow.
They come through there.
Because I feel like there's a lot of VAs in the U.S. Like, they're all over the place.
There are a lot. And the great thing about working at a VA is I can transfer to any VA in the United States. If they have an open position and I apply for it and they accept me, my nursing license travels with me.
Really?
There. Yes.
Well, would you have to, let's say if you went to a different state, would you have to be licensed in that state?
Yeah, like
as well?
California, for example.
No, because it's a federal facility.
Wow.
So that's a loophole.
That is a loophole.
So if I can get into the VA in Detroit, I don't need to get a California license or a Texas license.
As long as you go to work at a VA in California.
Right.
Yo, free game right there, ladies and gentlemen. Free game.
Oh, man.
But sorry, we cut you off. So you said that you not transitioned. You changed.
Yes.
We're gonna stay away from that word. You changed. You changed to where?
I changed to primary care. So
Okay.
I'm in the doctor's office, part of the hospital where, patients come in and
Like they run clinics and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's just like the clinic.
Yeah.
So checking blood pressures, checking blood sugars. We also have walk-ins available, so you can walk in at any time to the clinic and talk to a nurse about a particular issue that we have, and they come.
I'm sure they do.
And it could be anything from like a sore knee to
Transitioning.
Well, we got a whole wing of the hospital devoted to that. So we just direct them to the other side of the facility.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Which is where we end up directing some of
them.
them.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah.
What made you want to change into primary care as opposed to that inpatient?
Well, it was better for family life. Like I'm recently separated.
Okay.
But I have 2 kids, and it was a no nights, no weekends, no holidays schedule.
Oh wow!
So it's Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
7 to 3:30.
That's pretty
so
good.
It's really, really good for a family. So that's why I moved over. I missed the shift diff a little bit, but it was worth the trade off to do it that way.
Yeah.
But that was the main reason why I got off the floor.
I got you.
So let's go deeper in a little bit. Are you American or are you Canadian?
I'm American. I was born and raised in the States.
Okay. Detroit or?
Detroit.
Okay.
Yep. And then I met a girl. And then I came over here about 20 years ago.
Met a girl in Canada.
A girl in Canada.
Okay.
Came over here, started a family, and now I'm on my own.
Yeah.
It's that's a transition.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah.
And what brought you into being a comedian? I'm very interested in that.
Yeah. So I've been a comedian longer than I've been a nurse.
Really?
Yeah, I've been doing it on and off for about 20 years.
Wow.
And it's one of those things where I'll get after it a little bit, and then I'll, other things take priority, and I'll get back into it, 6-7 months later or whatever. But
right.
there used to be a comedy club here called Leo's in Walkerville.
Okay.
And it was up above Tops of Windsor, if anybody remembers that. But Leo is a very popular comedian around here. He's worked with Jim Carrey, back in the day. I mean, it's just people know him.
Yeah.
But he had a comedy club called Leo's, and one of his son's friends started doing stand-up at their open mic. And I had been writing comedy for years before that, easily 3-4 years before that. Never had the nerve to go up on stage and do it.
Right.
But he went up on stage and do it, and I saw him, and I'm like, I could probably do that.
Yeah.
And went up, I think, the next weekend and just got hooked.
Oh, man,
it's one of
that's
those
awesome.
things that just hooks you.
How old were you at this time?
About 32.
Oh, when you started?
Yeah, when I started.
Wow, really?
So wait, when did you get into nursing?
I got into nursing. Well, I got my license, I believe I was 38 when I got my license.
So what made you want to get into nursing, I guess, later?
So I worked for a nonprofit health agency for a number of years. I want to say like 5-6 years.
Right.
Maybe a little bit longer. But we did free and low-cost health screenings geared mainly towards the uninsured over in the States in the Detroit area. We would go into malls, churches, and community centers and put on these huge health expos.
Okay.
Where people could get free and low-cost blood panel testing, height and weight, blood pressure, body composition testing. There was a cardio CRP that we had in there. But we would put on these health expos, and I would work with a lot of nurses and doctors who were like doing the counseling, and it felt like a logical progression after working in that industry in the nonprofits.
Right.
Basically 9/11 came along, and our funding was mainly through United Way.
Okay.
So all of that funding got cut maybe 2-3 years down the road after 9/11, and so I was basically in a cycle of being laid off for 6 months and working for 6 months, and laid off for 6 months and working for 6 months. So I had a young daughter at the time, and I was like, I got to find something different. I got to get something steady, and so I just decided that it made the most sense.
Yeah, right.
For me to go into nursing.
So with nursing, did you go to school in the States or in Canada?
I went in the States. I went to Henry Ford Community College.
Okay.
Okay.
And
4 years?
No, it wasn't 4 years. It's I just have an associate's.
Okay.
And it was a not an abridged program. What do you call it? It's
like
accelerated. It was
fast
accelerated.
track. Okay.
Mm.
It was 19 months.
Okay.
I believe. Wow, I think that was the only cohort that went through because we lost so many people.
For sure, that probably so rigorous, man.
Yeah, I mean, we started off with 36. I think we finished off with like 17.
God. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, we shocked. And it's weird because you don't notice like the people dropping off, because it's like one semester you lose 2, one semester you lose maybe 3.
Right.
You may not have been the people that you really talk to a whole lot.
Right.
And you don't really notice that they're gone until like halfway through it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like at the end, you're looking around at all the people from your class that you started with, and you're just counting. And you're just like, wow, I'm still here.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Wow, that's incredible.
How were the classrooms like? Was it predominantly black, predominantly females? How many males?
it was mostly females. It was a mix, black and white. There was, I mean, it's in Dearborn. We had some Middle Eastern people in there. I'm not sure if they were like Saudi Arabian, Lebanese, or what. There was an Asian guy in there. It was a pretty mixed. It was mixed group.
Okay.
Mixed group, yeah.
Mixed group.
Wow. And how were clinicals?
Wow. Yeah, clinicals were. Everybody has a rough story about clinicals.
Oh,
for sure.
100%.
Everybody has like that one instructor.
Yo, yes,
That one instructor.
yes.
I feel like
always-
Junior's got stories, man.
So, and what I found is it's kind of like you ever hear of Stockholm Syndrome?
Of course.
Yes.
So it's like you now you think of this instructor now, and it's almost like you have a kinship with them. It's like you don't think that they were that bad.
No, mine's is back.
Okay, you're still shell-shocked from it.
So let me tell you a quick story. I walk into clinical, picture me, high top, hoop earrings, wearing Jordans. I walk in, my professor's like, Junior, are you here to be a nurse or be a basketball player? And I'm like, yo. And I'm looking to the side, I'm hearing kiki, ha-has. The girls are laughing. I'm like, yo, this is going to be a hell of a semester. I don't know if I'm going to get through this, but that's just one mini story that I had. She was on my ass. Like, stank on shit.
God damn.
Yeah, literally.
That's on some booty.
But yeah, sorry to cut you off, but let's hear some of yours, because I know it must be good.
A clinical instructor. Yeah, I had a lady that it was my first. It was my peds rotation. So I was at Children's Hospital, and during the orientation, I accidentally showed up late. I swear to God, it was an accident. I misread something, and I could have swore I was supposed to be there like a half an hour later. And then I showed up, and everybody was waiting for me. She went up one side and down the other. And I was irritated, and I was mad in the meeting, and they're telling us like how it's going to go, like on the floor, and who we're going to be assigned to. And this instructor picked me out the most challenging patient you could possibly imagine. This kid was 18 years old. He was contracted, bedbound. His story was he was type 1 diabetic, and he was non-compliant on his meds. So he was at home by himself and with status epilepticus, which is he started like seizing uncontrollably.
right.
And they figured that he had been seizing for like 45 minutes before they finally found him. So by that time, his mind was gone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, peg tube. This guy had everything.
Yeah.
He was MRSA positive, so you had to gown up every time you went in there.
Yeah.
You had to turn him. He had to wipe the saliva from his mouth and everything.
She's like, I'm going to make him work today.
Yeah.
You're working today.
But it wasn't so much the work. The thing that got me was that he was 18 years old, and there was like so many milestones he wouldn't reach.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
He would never get married. He would never have kids. He
Absolutely.
would never go to prom. He would never drive a car again.
Yeah.
And it just broke my heart,
Yeah.
like taking care of that guy. I mean, I always thought that pediatrics would be like, I would like that. I would like to go into pediatrics, but seeing some of the cases that they had on the floor, man.
It's tough. It's
Yeah,
tough.
it
Yeah,
is.
looking back at that, man. So prior to going to the nursing program, did you have an idea on what type of nurse you wanted to be, or what specialty you wanted to tap into, or did you just kind of just go into whatever at that point?
Yeah, I thought I was going to be either psych or pediatrics.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Honestly, yeah.
So-
Because the psych stuff fascinated me too.
Yeah.
But then this is my own personal opinion, but it's all about getting them compliant on their meds
Right.
and therapeutic communication. But you can't do therapeutic communication if they're not compliant on their meds.
That's correct.
So really, you're just keeping them on their meds.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
Absolutely.
And that just wasn't, it just didn't seem as interesting to me after I knew that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more to it than, once you get into it, but, from a nursing clinical standpoint, it kind of turned me off when I came to that realization.
See, for me, I kind of had the same realization. For me, I was not interested in psych at all. And then I had a clinical rotation in psych, enjoyed it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. It's fascinating. But I came to the same realization as you, and I was like, man, in like 6 months, I would probably hate this. Because you're just trying to pump these people with medication. So you're right. So you can get that therapeutic communication in and eventually help.
Sure.
But from an inpatient standpoint, that's really all it is for you, I feel like. And I mean, I don't know. That wasn't it for me.
Exactly. And I was really excited for those rotations, and then came out of both of those rotations thinking, I don't want to do either one of these things.
Yeah. But I mean, that's also the blessing of nursing, right? There's so much to do that you're just like, hey, if this doesn't work,
Sure.
I'll find something else.
You can always move laterally.
That's right.
Definitely. So what is probably one of the craziest things you've seen within the profession of nursing?
Wow. One of the craziest things. So, I mean, we're talking about...
Whatever you want.
Whatever.
Oh, okay.
Whether it's like patient related, obviously don't say names,
So, right.
or staff
I would
members.
say that the biggest thing that kind of steps out in my mind is, I mean, there's a huge push towards, body positivity and being accepting of people who are morbidly obese.
Okay.
And it's great to have a good mindset about that and to be accepting of yourself, but know that having all that excess weight and that excess skin over your blood vessels is going to make it harder for us to take care of you in the hospital when you get hospitalized. And it's, you carry that much weight, your cholesterol is going to go up. Typically, your blood pressure will go up. So at some point, you're going to have a hospital stay. There was a lady on the floor when I was inpatient, and I was called in to help her out by another nurse who was actually taking care of her. And she was in her chair, and she needed to move from her chair back to the bed. Very overweight. She was in excess of 300 pounds. And I was a bigger guy. I was lifting a little bit more back then, so I was even bigger than I was now.
Yeah.
And I tried to help her, and I couldn't. We just ended up kind of going to the floor, ended up lowering her to the floor because she was no help at all.
Yeah.
Well, when she went to the floor, her IV came out. Okay. Called some guys from the ER.
Yeah.
They came up. They helped her back into the bed along with me. Once we got her in there, the doctors were looking her over, and her eyes rolled in the back of her head. She threw a PE.
Oh,
Right
no.
there, pulmonary embolism. So for the listeners, if they're not nurses. So they started to work on her. She doesn't have an IV line.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get an IV line. There were three nurses trying 3 different sites
Oh, my God.
to try to get it on her. They could not get it on her. They ended up having to do a femoral cut down.
Yeah.
But by the time they got the equipment and started the cut down, I think they were 7 minutes in.
Holy fuck.
And I don't think they got it until they were about 8 or 9 minutes in. So by the time they started pushing drugs, she was gone.
Oh, man.
And yeah, and it's carrying that extra weight, that extra poundage, and that vasculature,
Yeah.
covering that stuff up, it's going to make it difficult for us to help you.
Oh, absolutely.
So I mean, be mindful of that. I mean, be proud of yourself, but just know it's difficult.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We can only do what we can do.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings me back. This is a story I've shared too, is that one time at the hospital, we had a guy that was 1,100 pounds. 1,100 pounds when he was admitted. Wow. And they had
Have a bed that can accommodate that?
bro.
Good question.
The biggest bariatric bed I've ever seen in my life. Like I didn't even know we had these beds, truthfully. The pneumatic lines coming out of the bed, because it also had an air mattress and everything, were just huge, like wide bore pneumatic lines. And I was like, man, where do you find these beds? Because this is crazy.
Auto shop.
Seriously, that's the only place.
Somebody ain't doing freewheel motion.
Oh,
right now.
100%, man. That's
I need
crazy.
some bed.
Dude, to get this guy out of the house, they had to get firefighters to like cut down a wall out of his house to get him out. And then even to get him from his house to the hospital, they had to use a fire truck. They couldn't use an ambulance. He was too big.
And he was about, what, 900 pounds, you said?
No, so 1,100 when he got admitted. By the time, I don't know how long he was in the hospital. So he wasn't on our unit. So this goes back to kind of how it makes things difficult on the staff. Just for us to change his dressings, this is how I met this man. Just for us to change his dressings, they had to call staff members from every unit to come help turn him because you needed 10 people to turn him. And you cannot take all 10 people from your unit because if 10 people from your unit are in that room, there's nobody to accommodate everyone else. Yeah. So they had to get 1 or 2 staff from every single floor at 5 a.m. You all come down, and at 5 a.m., you do his dressings, you clean him up, you get him ready for the day because it's the only time you're going to get that much staff in the room. So we had 5 on one side, 5 on the other. I guess it was 11 because his nurse had to do the dressing while we're all just there. And yeah, even just to get him in our hospital, apparently they had to like go through the cargo elevator because he wouldn't fit in the regular elevator. And I've brought this up to Junior. Something you never think about when you go in an elevator, you never think to look up and look at how much weight you're allowed. He was too heavy by himself to fit in that elevator. Yeah. Isn't that I was like,
so y'all had to take the freight elevator.
So they took the cargo elevator just to get him up with a couple people because, of course, his bed is also bigger than everybody else's bed. Sure. So it's a lot heavier. You've got him on that bed. Then you have to have the staff with him in the elevator. It was just, I couldn't wrap my head around it, truthfully.
Honestly, I think the biggest patient that we had on the floor was maybe half that size.
Yeah.
And that's challenging.
Yeah.
To move them around,
man, insanely. So I agree with you. It definitely makes it challenging for staff. It makes it challenging for whatever facility that you're in because they do have to accommodate you as well. Mm-hmm. And my thing is, too, if you can just control your weight, and I'm not a small guy, but if you can control your weight, keep that down, that helps your health tremendously. For sure. You know, and I agree, be positive and all these things, but you need to think about the longevity of your life. Like, it's just not conducive for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, but...
Next thing I wanted to talk about actually is you mentioned you work at the VA, right? We kind of tapped into that a little bit. Mm-hmm. What led you to want to apply in the VA, number one? And number two, off air, we were kind of talking about how it's kind of difficult to get fired from the VA. So let's elaborate. Let's go into that a little bit. What led you to get into the VA, and why is it hard to get out of the VA or get kicked out of the VA once you get in?
Whew, okay. We're getting real.
The people want to know.
So I decided to apply to the VA. They had some postings that they were hiring, but then my father was a veteran as well.
Okay.
So he was Army, like Vietnam era. And I always heard that it's a cool place to get into. It's a cool population that you get to serve. It's very stable in that they don't lay people off. You don't have to worry about, cuts and
the job security's there.
The job security, like the pension plan.
I can imagine through the roof.
You get access to government investments. The same thing that congressmen and senators get a chance to invest in.
Yeah,
so I've heard. I've
heard discounts. Is that true at certain stores? Or no, not necessarily.
Well, I mean, we get a stipend for scrubs every year. I think they give us $400 for scrubs.
They give you guys $400 for scrubs?
Yeah, $400 for scrubs.
Damn. Windsor Regional, what's up? Damn, that's amazing.
Okay.
There is some government discounts you can get. There's a site, I forget the name of the site, but it comes up like once a year, and I'll just kind of scroll through. But you get like a little 10%, 15% off of like Banana Republic and
that's cool
stuff.
Not bad.
But it's been a while since I looked at that.
Yeah.
In terms of why it's kind of difficult to be let go of the VA. I think it's I think it's because of the nature of it being government.
Okay.
Everything kind of moves slowly by nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, things have to be put in place to actually get somebody out of there if they, if they do want to walk somebody out. It's also a union shop.
Okay.
So you have to do everything by union. You have to make sure that they're in agreement with it, or they at least can't dispute it.
Right.
Because that can be, really problematic. And, we've had instances where people were fired the wrong way.
And then.
And the VA had to effectively hire them back.
Wow.
At a penalty. And
Holy.
it's like there was a lawsuit, and then they won the lawsuit, so the VA had to pay them, and then they had to give them their job back.
That's
Crazy.
insane,
That's bonkers.
Yo, first of all, if I was that person, I'd be talking shit. I'd be walking around there like I own that.
Yeah.
Like, you sued your employer, won, and they had to hire your ass back?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's what happens when, supervisors, they don't have their ducks in a row. And
Absolutely.
They don't have the right documentation of, why they're letting you go.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. So, I mean, that's happened a couple of times that I've heard.
Yeah.
Of people who came back and kind of sued administration. I don't know exactly how it works.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, people are. It's reluctant. I mean, God, how do I say this? Wow, you never know who people know.
Okay.
In that facility,
It's true.
Okay.
you never know how high they can reach to get some help.
Yeah.
I guess. There's a little bit of that, but I mean, it's mostly having to deal with the unions and having to do things the right way, that way. And, nobody wants to walk anybody out of there.
Of course.
Nobody wants to, you don't want
Of
to
course.
send a colleague home. Pretty much no matter how they behave, because sometimes there's stuff, I mean, they just really should go, but people aren't looking to do that. You really have to kind of put yourself on Front Street.
Yeah, right.
To get the kind of attention to make somebody think maybe that person might not be here.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe they shouldn't just be here.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, it doesn't happen too often that people get walked out. It does happen on occasion. It's usually crazy circumstances.
It has to be.
But, yeah.
What's the craziest one that you've seen?
Wow. This camera's wrong, huh?
Yeah, this one right here.
This one right
That
there.
one right there. That's right here.
Well, not to speak to any specific circumstances, but I hear
Hey,
if
it was a rumor.
If there's a
Whispers.
rumor, yes, if you are in a fist or not a fist fight, but in an altercation, a physical altercation with another employee,
Yeah.
that could theoretically get you put out of the facility after a period of time.
Yeah. Oh, God damn.
Also, I mean, it's probably stuff that you see in other hospitals as well. I mean, here's the thing about the VA system. A lot of people hear the stories about the things that happen in the VA system and the waste. Occasionally, you see a Channel 4 or Channel 7, report, there's a bunch of TVs in the basement and they're just sitting there and nobody's doing anything with them. Government waste and all this stuff. The thing is that all of these hospital systems do, I'm not going to say dirty stuff, but all of them drop the ball. It's just they have the money to kind of cover it up.
Yeah,
Right.
But the VA is in the limelight and the federal government, and so they get a lot of stories written about them, about graft and about misappropriations and stuff like that. And you see it all over the United States.
Yeah, right.
But really, Henry Ford, they've got issues with
for sure.
doctors and situations. DMC, they got the same stuff going on. Ascension, they got, which is going to be Henry Ford soon, if they aren't already. They got the same stuff. It's just they can. I think I think they have the means to keep it quieter.
So, last question about the VA, I promise. No, I'm lying. There might be 2 more after this. But how is Nurses Week in the VA?
Oh, Nurses Week.
Do they treat y'all like gods over there?
It's wonderful. It really is.
No pens, no lanyards, no pizza parties.
Oh yeah, we get pens, we get lanyards. The union usually gives us a bag every year, and it's filled with all kinds of I want to say stationery, but it's like Post-it notes and pens, and they're also advertising like Aetna and like add-on plans for their insurance as well. But we'll get. They might have like pizza parties. They'll call us in the multi-purpose room. I mean, we'll get like donuts. I mean, it's different every year.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they try to do something different every day, and they take care of us well. It used to piss off my ex actually.
Yeah.
Used to piss her off real bad because she works at university, or not university, but she works at Met.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
she's a nurse as well.
Yeah, she's a nurse.
Oh shit.
So
I'm kind of tempted to ask who she is. So we'll just leave. Yeah.
you gotta go there.
You're right. Yeah.
But yeah, compared to what she used to get, it's I would feel real self-conscious.
Oh, absolutely. I can totally understand that.
Shit, they got to pay for parking.
Yo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got to pay for parking too, but it's
really?
a song. It's like I think we pay like $7 a week or something. Like that.
Are you a night shifter or a day shifter?
Oh, he's clinic work, day shift.
Oh, you're right.
7 to 3:30. Monday
I'm
through
paying
Friday.
attention, bro. That's crazy.
Nights, no weekends, no holiday.
That's beautiful, man. Do you think you would ever go back to inpatient though?
I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I've thought about it. It's rewarding work. It's rewarding to get hands-on
Sure.
with a patient. I always like doing. Sounds weird. I always like doing dressings.
Okay.
I always like doing dressings, like even PICC line dressings. I like doing trach care.
Yeah.
I'm a weirdo.
Yeah.
Like
I don't like any of that.
See,
I work on a surgical unit, so I do dressings all the time, but I'm just like,
like trach care. Like I would trade people for trach care.
Really?
You can't beat the reaction because I mean, you go in, the guy's like all horky and all that.
Yeah.
The guy choking.
He's borderline choking. And then you take that cannula out and you clean all that stuff up. You put it back in, and he can breathe, and his eyes light up. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Like
I guess that's a
reaction.
good way to see it too.
Oh, yeah, very good way to see it.
Yeah, I've seen too many secretions come out of those things, and I'm just like,
I never had a problem with the phlegm. That's the only thing I didn't have a problem with.
It's funny. I think it was maybe my 3rd year. We were doing trach care as a group, and I think a blob of phlegm just like flew out of someone's trach onto someone's face. This girl's face. I did not see her for a good month. Like, she was not in class. We didn't see her in clinicals. I don't know what she caught, but we did not see her for a good month.
Well,
You know who you are.
she got MRSA.
Yeah, MRSA. I don't know if she's still in nursing, actually, but yeah.
Jeez.
God bless her. But back to you for a second. There's a question I wanted to ask. Comedy. So you said you're a comedian. Are you do you implement comedy into your everyday, or back then into your everyday lifestyle on the unit?
oh yeah, I'm just kind of a funny guy by nature. I like to think. I like to lighten things up. I make a joke whenever I can, whenever it's appropriate. It ain't hurting nobody. It ain't hurting nobody's feelings.
For sure.
Are you one of those nurses that goes into the room and is like, all right, time for an AccuCheck. Time to see how sweet you are.
He's like, no.
Can't say I've ever done that.
That's funny.
No, yeah. I mean, I'll tell jokes here and there. It's usually situational. Something funny is kind of happening in the room. I kind of take it to the left and then bring it back. It's kind of hard to think of a specific instance, but I always try to keep it light.
Do you ever take the nursing side of things and bring that onto your shows?
That's what I was going to ask.
I do have some jokes
Yeah.
about nursing and about being a nurse, and yeah, Yeah, it's one of those things where it didn't really make sense. Like, it didn't translate, because when I would try to write nursing jokes before, this is like years ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody's gonna understand these jokes.
Yeah.
It's like it's like jokes just for nurses.
Yeah.
But I recently found a way to kind of write stuff to where people understand it and it makes sense to them and it's more relatable to them.
Yeah.
So I do have a couple of jokes, about being a nurse.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So do you find the more you write and the more you do shows, I know it's been a while now, but do you feel like you're still improving or you're still learning and things like that?
Oh, for sure. And I will get out of the stand-up comedy, and I'll get back into it after a while, depending on what's going on in my life. But yeah, you shake off cobwebs, you get back into it. Yeah, definitely learning new stuff all the time. You always get to see new comedians and the things that they're doing on stage. And, comedians and actors, we're just thieves. We're just really good thieves. We just steal.
Yeah.
From one another. It's just about not getting caught. It's like you steal, you just don't make it like a word for word steal.
Of course.
Like, you're not, I'm not taking jokes. I'm not, there are like joke thieves out there.
Yeah.
But it's like different like personifications, or that's the wrong word, but using your hands in a certain way, or moving your body a certain way when you hit a punchline.
Yeah.
Little things like that. You steal the physicalizations.
Yeah.
Or an inflection, like the way that you go up on a certain joke
sure.
to kind of pull out a little bit more laughter.
Yeah, for sure.
But
That's cool.
always learning stuff. Always learning from the other comedians that are going up, after me, before me. Pretty much every show. You either learn like what to do or what is a bad idea to do. And then trying to make that fit, what you do. Because sometimes things that work for other comedians will not work for you, no matter how much you try it.
Yeah.
So.
Have you ever had a show where it's just like crickets?
Oh, man.
Just like nothing.
So there used to be a place, actually it still is a place, it's called Baker's Keyboard Lounge.
Okay.
In Detroit. And it's 7 Mile and Livernois.
Okay.
And it's the longest running jazz club in Michigan. I think it's one of the oldest in the United States. But they have a comedy night on Mondays.
Yeah.
Now, I was almost exclusively doing white rooms. It's just white patrons.
Yeah.
They're very kind people. Very generous. Very forgiving. The whites.
Black folks do not give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't.
No, they don't. They will let you know.
Oh, 100%.
The thing about a black audience is they're all about honesty. Like they have to believe that you are the persona, that the persona that you have on stage is how you're going to drive home.
Right.
Is how you are, every day. They have to believe that that's you.
Absolutely.
If they get a whiff that that's not how you act all the time, then you're fake, and they're not going to believe you, and it's over.
Yeah,
That's true.
So I went to the open mic at Baker's Keyboard Lounge, and there was a guy that used to host it called Kool-Aid, who has since passed away. I think he passed away like 3 or 4 years ago. Phenomenal comic. He was on Comic View and Def Comedy Jam way back in the day.
That's cool.
And he got a residency there, and he had been doing it a lot there. So, like I said, really good comedian. He gets up, he's the host. He does 15 minutes of killer crowd work, which is, he's just talking to the crowd, interacting with them. Maybe some of it was scripted, but he's just playing around with the audience. Now, when you have like written material that you're following with, it's hard to follow that guy.
Yeah.
Because it's so intimate with the audience.
Absolutely.
It's like he's making jokes up off the top of his head, and it's just it's more believable.
Right.
So I had to go up, I think, right after that.
Oh.
And I followed him, and I brought my phone on stage, I was recording.
Yeah.
And I think I broke so many rules because I was just sweating. But the first joke went well. Second joke went okay. Third joke was crickets. And then some lady said something to me, like she was heckling me some kind of way.
Yeah.
And I kind of playfully called her a bitch.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you don't call a black woman a bitch.
Oh no.
unless you really mean it.
Yeah.
And this was on 7 Mile?
And this is on 7 Mile. I was born and raised in Detroit, and I was still like, I should have done that. Because as soon as I said bitch, everybody was like, ooh. It was like 3rd grade all over again.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Went on with the next joke, told that, and then afterwards, I made another mistake.
Yeah.
I apologized.
Oh, no.
Which
You should have stood on
you
business.
have to double down on. Like, I should have said, you're still a bitch. That would have got me laugh. That would have got me off the hook.
Oh, 100%.
So I said, maybe I was a little bit too harsh on that last joke. I apologize. But, so then it was like getting blood from a turnip at that point. And then
for sure.
I finally, finished up. And Kool-Aid got back on stage. Said, come on, give him a round of applause. Give him a round of applause. I'm walking off the stage, and there are people like in the crowd looking at me. A lady actually said, it's hard. She didn't even do comedy. It's hard. Just like a sad kind of a nod, like a sympathy kind of a, like, I've been doing this for a while, but never done it before. It was just frustrating. So I got off stage, and I was ready to get out of there. And then all of a sudden I hear, my man, wait a minute, hold up. You left your phone on the stage. I had to walk back to the stage to get my phone that recorded this set that I wanted to have nothing to do with.
Oh, that hurts.
And then walk back through the crowd to leave.
Oh, that hurts.
So, yeah.
Do you still have that recorded?
I do not. But I do tell, occasionally I do tell that story as a joke on stage. Worst bomb I ever had.
Oh, man, that was good.
That is hilarious.
The only 2 places that I ever bombed was at that place.
Yeah.
The only 2 places.
Really?
I bombed. Yeah. Wow. It's I don't know. It's a hard. Some people have a really good time there. Have a really easy time there. I never really did. And it's not like a black white thing. It's not like if you're a white comedian you have a hard time.
Right.
As well. It's all about believability.
Yeah.
Black audiences, like if you're a white comedian and they believe that what you're saying is true to you,
Yeah.
they're gonna be on board with you.
Yeah. So have you ever had a good show there though? Like no, really?
No.
That's like your kryptonite.
I know.
That's crazy.
I had two shows there, and I learned.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what they say? Third time's the charm, right?
Yeah. Yo. Listen, next time you go there, just invite me to the show because I want to come watch. You know?
I'm not even going to invite me to the show.
Oh, that's some funny shit.
So, no. Truth be told, I should go there more.
Yeah.
If that's what happened, I should be going there and I should be doing that room.
Yeah.
Because you got to face your fears. You got to do the stuff that is scary and the stuff that will improve you the most.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, are you able to give us one of the routines that you do with regards to nursing jokes?
Okay, so
give us one.
Let me see here. So I start off. I'm a registered nurse. By profession. Depending on the reaction I get, I react in a different way. But I say, I'm a primary care nurse. So I really don't know how to do much anymore. Primary care. I see I'm kind of getting caught up right now. I'm a primary care nurse. I'm considered a first responder. But I don't think anybody here wants me responding first. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna run away.
Yeah.
If there are witnesses, I'm not running away. But here's hoping help is on the way. Because it ain't here now.
Yeah.
I put it to you like this. I'm a lot better at this than at being a nurse, and I haven't really been paid for this in years.
That's hilarious.
So, hope everybody took their medication today.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. So this is my next question. I don't know if the skit was done, by the way, but do you get paid from your comedy shows?
Good question.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do get paid. I am just kind of starting back up now because once the pandemic started, I was doing some pretty good gigs before the pandemic, and then after the pandemic, there was 2 years of nothing in the comedy clubs, and then things started back up again. But then some things were happening in my life where I wasn't feeling funny.
Yeah.
for a while, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
which is fair.
So I just recently started getting back into it this year.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to circulate around and hit open mics and any place where I can fit in. I've gotten some bookings, nothing paid as of yet, but things are going to start coming in before the end of the year. I'm confident.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. You just have to circulate enough. You just ask the right people. You just get booked on these shows.
And like kind of keep yourself out there type thing.
You got to keep yourself out there.
So where are your next few shows? If you want to plug into some people that kind of want to watch,
So I am going to be at a place called Arnie's in Toledo, and that is going to be on the 25th at 7 p.m. Yep.
Yeah.
And then on the 2nd of November, I'm going to be at what's the name of the
Stella's
place?
Bar.
Stella's. Thank you. Oh, you know right on. Okay.
Come on,
So
big
on
homie.
Facebook
We're keeping.
All right. Yes.
It's in Plymouth, Michigan, on November 2nd. For those of you that want to go watch,
We did our homework. We creeped his what was it, Facebook?
Yeah. We talked about it. I think we're gonna try to come watch that show.
Yeah, 100%.
Should be
100%.
good. It'll be a good chunk of time too. I'll be doing like 15, 17 minutes there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, well, nice.
yeah. Get to do quite a few jokes. It's good to stretch. Like you get a long set like that. Normally you go to open mics and you get like 5 minutes, 7 minutes.
Yeah, I've seen those short ones.
So you got to kind of pick and choose what jokes you want to tell. You know, what do you want to exercise? But this I'll be able to tell a number of different jokes.
Yeah.
It's good to get you can get the crowd on board better when you get more time.
When you, like you said, you've probably written so many jokes since you've been writing. How do you choose the ones you want to keep or you don't want to keep, or is it just based off of the crowd reaction?
That's a good question. Sometimes they're from a particular time. Sometimes they have to do with a particular event that happened. They might be like a current events type of a thing, or maybe they'll have to do with an election, or maybe they'll have to do with hurricanes. I had a hurricane joke that I had mothballs until 3 weeks ago.
Really?
And then I kind of blew the dust off of it and just started telling that one again.
Yeah.
How hurricanes have these punk ass names. Like why? Why are we naming hurricanes Milton? I'm not running away from Milton.
It's so true.
That is true. That's funny as hell.
Hurricane Scott.
Yeah.
It used to be like Hurricane Deontay.
Yeah.
Hurricane Diddy. How about you about to get fucked.
Oh, you're fucked up. The Hurricane Diddy will fuck you up. Yeah. Fuck, dude. The only thing left is your baby oil. The house is gone.
But the baby oil is still intact.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
so true.
It is.
That is
a good one.
That is a good one.
And I wrote that joke like 15 years ago.
Really?
I think Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
Around that time, I wrote that joke.
Yeah.
And it's just give them some hard names.
Yeah,
People will get the idea. I mean, it's Halloween time. You go like Hurricane Chucky. Hey, it's short-lived but dangerous.
It fits.
It'll fuck you up.
Or Hurricane Sharkeisha. He'll knock a bitch out.
Exactly.
Yo, this actually makes me think of a question. Working in Detroit, and I know as the VA you get a lot of government workers, but have there ever been names that you get on a chart and you're just like,
Good question.
what?
Very good question.
I usually help people out with those names. Like I have an English degree as well. So I mean, I'm really good at phonetically, like kind of working out people's names.
Yeah.
I never really had a huge problem with that. It was always a challenge to me too. Like if somebody had like a challenging name, like, oh, I can get this name.
Yeah.
Especially like we have some Indian doctors in there, and it's just like the alphabet. I mean, there was one doctor's. I'm gonna say his name, Lakshmi Narayanan Nandagopal.
What?
I'm sure you didn't even say it right.
No, that's actually pretty good.
yeah?
Because there are parts of that I've heard before, and the parts I've heard they're pretty good. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, I have one for you that I asked people, and I've never had anyone get it before. Ever. Okay? The name on the chart was the letter D, apostrophe, AS. Take your time. Did I ever tell you this one or no?
No, you never.
Take a guess. And when I say it, you're going to be like, get the fuck out of here.
Days?
No. That would be too easy.
Das? I don't even know.
Daisy?
No.
Okay.
So you said D''AS.
Yeah.
Oh, you got me.
Okay,
You
you
got me
ready?
too.
Yeah.
DeMarcus. D Mark, because it's an apostrophe. D Mark A-S.
And that was in
DeMarcus.
Windsor?
No, that was in Detroit.
Oh, shit.
That's the one that Ange gave me once.
Oh, my
And I was like,
God.
yo, because this is when we first started dating. And I think we had this conversation about this once. And she went into work that night. And she's like, yo, I got one you'll never guess. And she gave me that one. And she was working like a night shift. And I was like, don't tell me. Let me sleep on this and really think about this. I'm not going to cheat, nothing. I woke up in the morning. I was like, I have no fucking clue. So I had 12 hours to think about this. And I was like, no way. She said DeMarcus. And I was like, that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You should use that.
Yo. And she was like, so she's taking care of this kid. And so she's taking care of, and she, like, when someone gives you the name, the girl she got on report was like, I don't know how to say this kid's name. I don't know, but this is what it is. So she went in, the mom's there, and she's like, the child, you know, like, the baby. She just kept saying to the mom as she's talking. She's like, I have no fucking clue how to say this kid's name. And then the kid was doing something, and the mom was like, DeMarcus. And she was like, who the fuck is DeMarcus? And she was like, my son that you're taking care of. And she was like, oh. And she's like, I see. Okay. DeMarcus.
Go to Marcus. Go to Marcus.
DeMarcus. And I was
Wow,
like, God
that is unique.
I've heard some wild ones. I've heard like we don't get kids in the VA, but I've heard of Ladasha.
Yeah, Ladasha I've heard of too.
I've heard
Yeah.
of Absidy.
Nah.
Absidy?
ABCD.
Get the fuck out of here.
What?
No.
That's
You
crazy.
said Absidy?
Absidy.
Oh my God.
The first 5 letters of the alphabet.
What?
Absidy.
That's amazing.
That's lit. I'm not gonna lie.
God damn.
I mean, for
That's
me, it's
special.
more so the spelling of the names that I've seen, where, like, for example, Daquan, where it's like DAY apostrophe and then Quan QUAN. But that one is
Absidy's
different.
crazy.
Absidy?
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, that's crazy. So I have a question with the VA then. I know there's, like you've said, there's some circumstances where, like, spouses can come in, but veterans' children can't come in?
There are circumstances where veterans' kids can get care. I haven't encountered any veterans' children. I have encountered like veterans' spouses.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing, like on the wall when you walk into the VA, it's I think it's called Lincoln's Creed or Lincoln's Promise, to take care of the veteran and his widow and his orphan. So it's like in the creed that they're supposed to provide. It alludes that they're supposed to provide care for the veteran and the family of the veteran. But I know there are certain circumstances where they can get care, the children, but I've never seen it.
Because even as a staff, that means they would have to make sure that you're able to take care of, obviously, a pediatric patient, and it's tough when you don't see it very often or ever. For sure. You know?
For sure.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah. I mean, we do have a women's clinic.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a small population of women that come through there. But in terms of taking care of kids, they might stabilize them in the ER and then send them off.
And then send them
to, like
like children's or something.
Children's or something like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I guess one of my last few questions is, before we wrap up, you mentioned how with the VA you can relocate to another state and get into another VA facility without getting that license for the state, correct?
Correct. Yeah, because it's a federal facility, the rules are a little bit different. So if you're a VA nurse, no matter where your license is, if you're going to work in another VA hospital, the federal government honors that license where you have it.
Do a lot of people know that? Do they advertise that? Like, Because
they don't really advertise that, but people know it because sometimes they use it as a little trick before they retire. So the way that it works is the way that your pension works. The VA has a pension, but they base a part of your pension off of the highest grossing 3 years of work that you had, and it's like a percentage of that.
Okay.
So what some people will do is, like, if they live in a lower paying area, like a Nebraska, or like even like a Detroit. Not that Detroit is like, not that we get peanuts.
Yeah, right.
But there are definitely places that pay more. They'll transfer, in the last 3 years, they'll transfer to New York or
California,
LA or San Diego or Hawaii.
Yeah.
And they'll live out there and work those, last 3 years or whatever. And then they'll retire, and then they'll move back, to where their place is, and just get that much more of a percentage.
And they have to honor your best 3 years?
Best 3 years, yeah.
Holy, that is a
that's
loophole.
some free game. I'm telling you.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's incredible.
People have done that.
Yeah.
So that was going to be my next question. Do you see yourself transition?
Yeah, you better be careful.
No, actually, no. I don't. It's like transitioning. Do you know something?
Let's talk about your transitioning, Sean.
Do you see
Look at the time.
yeah, right. Do you see yourself moving to another state? For pretty much what you just explained. So, like, for example, California, Hawaii, to get that extra bank.
I've always thought about relocating to Hawaii. I mean, we had a trip to Hawaii, I want to say about 7 years ago. Beautiful place. Would love to live there. The only thing is people have to get on a flight if they want to visit you.
That's right.
You got to get on a flight to visit them. Not that they wouldn't get on a flight. Everybody wants to go to Hawaii.
For sure.
As long as you had a bed for them, they would come.
Yeah.
But I have thought of moving someplace warmer. The thought did cross my mind, whether or not that's going to materialize in the next 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I've thought about. I mean, it would be great to move out there and to work for 3 years or 5 years, someplace warm where I didn't have to bring coat.
Yeah. See, that sucks about warm places. You got to deal with hurricanes. And Hurricane Milton, he gonna come for that ass.
Yeah, that's true.
Hurricane Diddy gonna get that ass. You've been talking shit,
Waste.
For sure. So I guess we'll wrap it up with this last question. If you could tell your younger self one thing about the profession of nursing, what would that be? Your first year nursing student self, what would you tell?
What would I advise myself if I could go back to my first year? Get right back in school. Oh man, this is a great question. Wow, I never thought of this. If I go back and tell myself one thing, I would go for nurse practitioner. I would honestly go back and get your bachelor's and then become a nurse practitioner.
Really?
Yeah.
What would you do with the nurse practitioner? What would you get into?
I'd probably want to do primary care.
Yeah. Do they have NPs at the VA?
They do.
Yeah. Eh? Do they
I hired quite a few of them, actually.
If you were to ever go back to school, would they pay for it? Some facilities do, right?
I'm sure there is there's a program for that.
Yeah.
It might depend on what discipline you want to work
Sure.
in. I know there was like a big push for mental health nurse practitioners some years back, and a buddy of mine actually got into that. Yeah, I'm sure they're like there's some things available. I haven't really investigated it hardcore because I'm just not. I'm 52. I don't want to go to school no more. I don't want to sit in a class.
Yo, you look good for 52, bro.
Yeah,
I'm dead ass serious. Yo, no Diddy. Right? None of that. But you do look good for 52. Dead ass. When you told me that you had like university age kids, I was like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, wow, you don't look like you do.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's just, and And I just want to focus on some different things now. I mean, in terms of me going back and getting a bachelor's and getting a master's, like I would be 56 by the time I was finished. It's not for me. Just not for me. I'm trying to do this comedy thing.
Yeah.
It's my last big push for that.
Yeah.
So I gotta focus my attention there.
Yeah, that's good.
Have you ever expanded your horizons with the comedy game? Like, have you gone to different states, like for example, California or Texas? And
I've been out to. I performed in San Diego. I performed in Florida once.
Oh, that's cool.
I've been to Toledo. I was in Lansing, doing Connections when they were open. I did Joey's Comedy Club when that was open. I've done the Comedy Castle. I've done the Showcase. These are all paid gigs.
Yeah.
Got to the feature level, which, you get on stage and you do 25 minutes, you do 30 minutes.
That's cool.
So that's the level that I've gotten to before. But yeah, I performed at a number of different places. Holly Hotel, that's another thing. Opened for John Heffron.
Who's John Heffron?
He won America's. There was a show about comedians. It was almost like a Survivor for comedians. Remember Alonzo Bowden? He won like 1 year, and then John Heffron won 1 year.
Okay.
But yeah, I ended up opening up for him at the Comedy Castle before the pandemic. I think it was in like 19 or something like that.
Yeah.
Never meet your heroes. Don't do it.
I've heard something about that. I've heard it's not great. It's not great. Oh, that's funny.
He was going through some things.
Yeah.
And just felt like some mood swings. What happened?
No.
He's like cool 1 minute, and then the other minute he's just really intense.
Yeah. That's funny. Damn. Never meet your heroes. I've heard that before.
Yeah, I've heard that term. Yeah, same.
Oh man. So now that you're kind of putting this push into comedy, do you hope to get past the point that you were?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a goal of I plan on headlining, before the end of next year.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really ambitious with it. I'm really going to go after it.
Yeah.
Because I like to think I'm a funny guy.
Yeah.
And it just seems like a waste.
Yeah.
Not to.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
Before we cut off, actually, it makes me think. Number one, do you utilize social media a lot, like Instagram, TikTok?
I don't utilize Instagram right now. I never did really. I never promoted myself so much when I was doing it and getting tons of paid gigs. I just never really. It was kind of like a lazy thing.
Okay.
Like I just didn't promote myself the way that I should have. I have friends now that are kind of helping me get into the Instagram, into the TikTok stuff.
Yeah.
I have video clips that I'm going to be putting out there.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that I'm putting them out the right way, and that I have the right banners and that kind of stuff. I want to do quality stuff.
Yeah,
so
I hear
look
you.
people up to try to get
you.
some help with that, because like I said, I'm 52 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do this shit.
Yeah. You know what though? Something people don't tell you is most people don't. But like you're doing, you put people in place to do these things for you, and it pops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's just what it is.
Yeah, and a lot of times you just don't have the time to do it yourself.
That's true. A lot of people are doing what we do, where you have like multiple things you're doing, right? You're a nurse, you're a comedian, you're a father. So sometimes people don't have the time to also edit their stuff and put it out there. I mean, you pay people a couple dollars to do it.
Sure.
And you can still focus on all the other
clean.
things you're doing. Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
To sit back and do it. Yeah, I'd be interested in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason why I asked is because I know there's certain comedians that typically come through to Windsor. I think Kevin Hart was one, or he may be coming soon, or is it in Detroit? I think he's coming next year.
Yeah, he has come through. Yeah, I think he's coming in. Is it January? I think he's coming in January.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if is he coming to Windsor? I thought he was coming to Detroit.
It might be Detroit, but regardless, just reaching out to his team and seeing, maybe if he could open up or something. I don't know. That'd be interesting. Or leading up to that in the future.
Sure. I mean, that's ambitious. Yeah, I mean, that's something that we all kind of think about. And there was a friend of mine who actually hit up Ralphie May when he was in Toronto. And this is going back again some years, probably like 7-8 years. But he just hit him up and said, "Hey, I'm a huge fan and I'm a comedian too. Can I open for you or something?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure."
Cool.
So I guess Ralphie May didn't have an opener. He just kind of went up and did his thing, but he just made an exception for this guy. So, yeah, I mean, things like that do happen. Usually with comedians coming in from out of town is they bring their own people. They have their shows established. They know what their people are going to do. They have a lot of creative control. They don't have a lot of question marks. I mean, especially like a guy like Kevin Hart, he's trying to do a really tight show.
Yeah. Because he's got like his Plastic Cup boys that always open for him and those guys. Yeah.
So, I mean, as much as I would like to think that that's a possibility, I might explore it a little.
Yeah.
but yeah, it might be a bit of a long shot.
Yeah. If you could choose one comedian, who do you think your favorite comedian all time? All time.
I would have to go with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah,
That's
a good one.
Very good one.
It's there are a number of comedians that I love for a number of different reasons, but it's like he holds a place in my heart for the time of my life.
Oh, for sure.
When I saw Eddie Murphy Raw and Eddie Murphy Delirious.
Yeah,
and I wasn't old enough to see Delirious. I had to sneak and see Delirious. I think it was like only 13 or something like that. I couldn't get caught.
Yeah.
And then I was able to see Raw, finally when I think I was like 17 or something like that when Raw came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, two of the best comedy sets ever are those two.
Yeah.
I like Bill Burr. He's really funny.
Yeah,
I like Anthony Jeselnik.
Yeah.
I've
seen him live.
Oh man.
He's actually I actually saw him live at the Comedy Store. I just went with some friends, and he happened to be performing, and I think he was trying out some material. He's funny as shit, man.
He is just, like, you can't, like, as a comedian, we kind of pride ourselves a little bit. Like, we can sit back and we can enjoy the comedy, enjoy the jokes, but most of the time we kind of know where you're going.
Yeah.
We kind of know where you're going to end up, but with him, I never know.
You never
know, and he gets me every time, and it blows my mind. At the same time, it's entertaining, but it's frustrating at the same time. For sure. It's like a good frustration, though.
I think that is what's good about him, because you're right. I think a lot of the time when comedians start their joke, you could. It's hard for me, but I feel like at some point you can kind of see the punchline coming, which, regardless, it's still funny. Like, it's a great joke that doesn't matter. But you're right. Anthony Jeselnik will start. And you're almost thinking, where the fuck are you going with this, man? like you know what I'm saying? Every time. Sure. But yeah, I agree. He is very funny.
Yeah, he's really good. Of course, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
People he's gotten a lot of shade, recently because he's getting too heady.
Okay.
For people.
What's heady? What do you mean heady?
Like too cerebral, too much into social issues.
Okay.
More of making a commentary rather than making a joke.
Sure.
But I disagree.
Yeah,
I think there's different ways to get laughs out of people, and the best way to get a laugh out of somebody is make them think about something.
Sure,
it's true.
So, yeah, I think that he has actually gotten better over the years. He's one of the few comedians. Like, you'll have situations in comedy. You have comedians who they'll reach a certain point, and they won't really get better.
Okay.
It's almost like a high water mark, and I think it has to do with the struggle that comedians, like when they're coming up, what they have to kind of go through and the difficulties that they have. Struggle is what gives you good comedy.
Yeah.
And then, once they get some money, they get some notoriety and some fame, and that, like, the jokes they just don't hit the same way because they don't have the same struggle anymore. It's like they don't have the same pressure.
Yeah.
Not that they're not trying. It's just their life is different.
Yeah.
Right. So the things they're commenting on.
Well, do you think it's just hard relatability? Like, I feel like when you're coming up and you're in that struggle, when you're performing for people, you can still relate to a lot of your audience members. But when you're just rich and you're at the height for so long, and you have that wealth, the people that come to see you primarily are just like blue collar workers. They're, they're everyday Monday to Friday workers. When you get to a certain point, you just can't relate to those people. Maybe. I mean, I'm just guessing.
No, that's. I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I think that your relatability goes down as this is a broad generalization, but as your tax bracket goes up, I mean, you relate to fewer and fewer lower tax bracket people.
Yeah.
Without trying to be inflammatory about it, it's just you just don't appeal to the same crowds because by virtue of what you talk about, by virtue of the things that you have to go through, they just aren't the same as what your audience has to go through and what they consider an inconvenience or a struggle or something that pisses them off. Yeah. So sometimes comedians, I mean, they reach a point and then they get a lot of notoriety and then it's just kind of not the same anymore. And, maybe some of it is, I call it like Prince syndrome.
Okay.
So like Prince came out with Purple Rain. Yeah. Right. Phenomenal album. One of the best
of all time.
Ever.
Yeah.
Right? The next album after that was Around the World in a Day. Very good album. Extremely good album. But it wasn't Purple Rain. Yeah. So everybody said that it sucked.
Oh, I see.
But it's not. Listen to Around the World in a Day. It's a great album.
Yeah.
So maybe it's some of that too.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm putting that spin on it too, where I'm waiting for that big, he had this great special before, and the next special he came out with wasn't as good. He's jumped the shark.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something. Maybe I'm kind of doing that a little bit as well. Yeah. But I think there's something to be said for relatability, and when your life changes, your jokes change.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, he's evolved. He's like I compare him to LeBron.
Well, actually, with that statement, because you kind of alluded to things have happened in your life, do you feel like now your jokes are also changing with how your life has changed?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like we were speaking before about the nursing jokes that I recently incorporated in. You go through stages as a comedian. First you're just trying to say something to make people laugh. Doesn't matter what you're trying to say. Mm-hmm. And then you're trying to, cater to the audience because, if you appeal to them, then you can get them to laugh. Yeah. But, the highest form is you just say what's funny to you and your crowd will find you. Yeah. Your audience will find you because they will think that that's funny too. Yeah. There's an aspect of you are there for the crowd, and the crowd isn't there for you, but it's more of a give and take thing. It's less of me providing a service to you as a comedian and more of, a friend telling you a joke in a basement. Yeah. I'm just entertaining you and I'm entertaining myself all at the same time. Yeah. So once you kind of come to that realization, get to that level, I mean, it gets really fun because then the jokes, they don't become so dependent on, do I think this is going to hit? Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of that, but it's more, what's funny to me? Yeah. What's going to crack me up? What am I excited? What story am I excited to tell on stage? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Instead of, how many jokes can I pack into a minute?
I got you. Yeah. That's good.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being a guest on episode 17.
Thanks,
we appreciate it. You can plug in, I guess, your Facebook if you want to share it, or Instagram if you have one, or whatever the case may be. Tag, anything?
You can hit me up at Facebook. It's Shawn Townsend at Facebook. My Instagram is Shawn.Townsend.520 because I'm creative. And I'd just like to say that John Heffron is actually a really great guy. Just realize I'm getting back into this, so just trying to need to build this bridge again.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He was going through some things. We all go through some things. He was very kind to me.
I'm sure
the vast majority of the time. I'm very thankful for the opportunity, and I look forward to any other opportunities.
Oh, that's funny.
That's great, man. That's great.
That's Salt
great.
of the earth.
Yeah.
John Heffron.
He's a great guy.
He
sounds like a phenomenal guy.
I'm playing games.
Yeah, that's funny.
John, I love you, man.
Yeah.
We all go through some shit.
November 2nd, Shelby's Bar. We will be there. I'm gonna be there.
We'll be there.
I'm telling you right now.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And everybody else come out there too.
Yeah, man.
Definitely. We'll text the details.
All
But that's
right.
episode 17. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment on YouTube, Instagram, follow us there, TikTok. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Listen to us there if you're driving to work, or watch us on YouTube, whichever. But, it's great either way. That's episode 17. Season 2 is coming soon.
Let's go.
Peace.
Peace.